I had two choices. One, I could let that pain drag me down, drag me into a bottle, drag me into, drugs, drag me into, anger, acting out, all of that. Or I can let that pain fuel me into being the best version of myself. I chose the latter. So I poured all of my energy while I was laying there prostrate on the floor, crying my eyes out at night when I didn't hear anything, when I'm used to hearing cries, giggles, and footsteps. I said, you know what? I'm going to write about this because I'm going to have to look back at this moment and remember where I came from. And I started remembering the lessons that my dad taught me. And I started copying those down and using those words and those quotes to encourage me to get up and keep going every day.
How are you, Mustafa?
I am awesome. I am awesome. Thank you. I love the accent.
Thank you so much. It's a Persian accent.
Yeah, I picked it
Yeah,
up. I like the
you
way
did?
Mustafa sounds. Yeah.
Okay. Mustafa is a prophet. You know that,
Hmm.
right?
I
Oh,
do.
I'm glad you knew that because I was like, and then Mustafa speaks.
Hmm.
That is such a representation of like prophet speaks.
Hmm.
You know? It's such a
Yeah.
beautiful thing, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. And
Love that.
I wish I could take credit for it, but my dad, he's a prophet himself, so he spoke my name into existence before I got it.
Yeah, God bless. God
Yeah.
bless, because I love it. It's like Muhammad. Mustafa is another one. Muhammad is another one. So
Mhm.
it's a very common name. A lot of
Mhm.
Persian people, they name their children after the prophets. So for us, it's a very common name. You
Mhm.
say it Mustafa. We say it Mustafa.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Mustafa.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's a
And
little
a little different in the dialect. And it's an Arabic name, right? So the way they pronounce it is Mustafa.
Mustafa. Yeah, you guys say we say Mustafa.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah, we don't exaggerate on the M. So it's
Got it.
Mustafa.
Mustafa. You
Yeah.
exaggerate the U.
Yeah, we exaggerate the U, not the M. You guys
Got it.
say Mustafa.
Mm-hmm.
They like I'm sure people call you Mustafa. We say Mustafa.
Mm-hmm.
You see the difference?
I do. I do see the
Yeah,
difference.
a
Yeah.
little bit. Thank you
I
so
love
much
it.
for being here with me today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's my
Oh my
pleasure.
God, I'm so excited that you're here. Gosh, I have so much to talk to you about. But first and foremost, congratulations on the show, Landman. Man, you did such an amazing job.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I'm a huge Billy Bob Thorne fan. Okay, I've seen all his movies, all the shows, everything.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
yeah, when Landman came in, so I said to myself, okay, great, I have something to binge watch and everything. But when you watch a show and you watch it and you like one character, and sometime the character is there, but the show is not too whatever. God, when they brought you, I was like, whoa.
Yeah?
My God, like every character is did such an amazing
Yeah.
job,
Yeah.
including yourself.
Mm, thank you. Yeah, I mean that's a testament to the casting department. You know, they did a great job at putting everybody together, and I'm just glad I was able to be a part of a team that was like a list like that.
Yeah. So you have such a diverse career. You
Mhm.
are a actor, producer, scientist, speaker, entrepreneur, and a family man.
Mhm.
You got to take me back all the way. You're not just a pretty face and a hot body. I got to tell you
Hey,
that.
thank you. Hey, thank you. You trying to make me blush on here. Thank you. Well, I mean, it all just boils down to my past and where I come
Yeah.
from, my home, right? I come from a place called Booker T. Washington Projects in Jersey City.
Yeah.
And in that place, it was just nothing but love and community and family. And so, with my family, my grandmother, my mother, my father, my uncles, who I call my five kings, they instilled in me a sense of confidence, a sense of security, and a sense of limitlessness because there was
Ah,
so much confined around us in our environment. But they made sure I had a strong foundation to know that I can do anything and everything that I wanted to. So, with that, that did any and everything that I wanted to, and I always had this sense of rebellion and always had
Uh,
this sense of curiosity, and I just ran with it. A lot of times that rebellion and curiosity got me in trouble, but most times it got me exactly where I wanted and needed to be.
right. You started as a scientist, you were studying shark behavior.
Hmm.
If
Hmm.
somebody see you now and the way you succeed so much, I would never guess that. Tell me about that. How is that
Yeah,
experience like?
yeah. So that the reason that started was because of my dad. Like everything again just boils back down to home for me. But my
Right,
dad, he used to take me and my siblings and even the community kids fishing all the time. And
right,
coming from a place like that, you really wouldn't go out to the water or to the ocean. You didn't really think about anything like that. But my father, he loved to go fishing. So I
right.
would accompany him all the time. And as I was out there on the water, it was not just about catching fish, but it was about he and I bonding together
Right.
and me learning the different life lessons of being a man and growing up. We would talk about everything under the sun, like girls. We would talk about the struggles in school, and he would talk to me about family, his philosophy on money, just everything we would talk about. So that instilled a sense of yearning and purpose in me. So I always associated that with the water. So as I
Right.
started getting older, I developed an affinity for water and the ocean, and I love science. I used to always watch Discovery Channel, and
Me
Shark Week
too.
was my favorite week to watch Discovery Channel. You
Me
too.
too. Yeah, I love it.
Okay.
I love it. Yeah.
And so I'm like in eighth grade, I was like, how can I merge like my love for the water and like the science. What can I do? And the teacher told me you can do marine biology. I said, marine biology? Okay, I can do marine biology. So once I went to high school and I started really focusing on science and also a lot of sports, I played five different sports. I was doing sports, I was doing my academics. And when I got to college, I found that there was a school, which was Hampton University, that offered marine science. And the difference between marine biology and marine science, biology only focuses on the organisms, right?
Okay.
Like the fish, the sharks, all of that. But marine science encompasses the marine ecology, the whole system. So I have to learn about the ocean, the atmospheric pressure, the salinity, just everything about it, everything working together. And I fell in love with it. And
Right.
while I was there at Hampton University, that's when I had an opportunity to do an internship for my shark research. I took up a paper. I read a little paper, little article about shark repellents, and
Mm.
my professor said, "Just look at it, read it. If you find something interesting, explore it. If not, then cool, we'll find something else." I found something really interesting, so I developed an experiment behind it, and I came up with a concept of magnets being a repellent for certain sharks. And so I explored that and it got really good attention. I got funding. I've traveled around the world presenting this research. They funded me to do it again for the next year. And then I ended up getting published internationally for my work in shark behavior as an undergraduate. And that was the pinnacle of my success at that point.
Did you swim with sharks?
I didn't go in the water with the sharks. I didn't go in the water, but we just did topside fishing. So long lines, we had hook and line and got small, about 6 to 8 feet sharks, juvenile sandbar sharks. And here's how it all came full circle. While I was doing my research at Hampton
Right.
University out on Eastern Shore, my father got a chance to come out with me on the water, on the ocean. He's never been to the ocean like that. He got a chance
Uh,
to come with me and we fished on the ocean together, he and I, and he caught sharks, he caught stingrays, he caught all different types of fish he never even knew about. And to look at that joy on his face
oh
doing
my
that,
God.
it all was worth it.
I could say that. Yeah, that must be amazing.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
connecting that because my daughter and I, we like Shark Week is our thing. Every time they come in,
Mhm.
my daughter, she's like, I love it. And we learned so much about shark. When I learned that you were studying that, I'm like, that is so cool. One thing to see it on TV and one thing to actually, be there
Yeah.
around them. I interview people from all walks of life. All walks of
Mhm.
life. And I had actually a girl that she wanted to be a mermaid since she was 12 years old, and talk about. And I literally asked her, and she was like, "Yeah, I used to say to people, when I grow up, I want to be a mermaid." And sure enough, as she grew up and she actually saw her own tail and she made that a career, teaching people how to swim in the water like a mermaid. That was her career. And then she got picked up and she did a photography. She did, like, they took her picture, and then she did a movie. Her movie was very successful. And then she actually got a chance to swim with sharks. It was amazing when she telling me.
Yeah.
But one thing about shark is, like, the lions, if they're not hungry, right? You can actually go near them. You can touch them. They don't really care much. But if they're hungry, they eat you. And same thing goes with sharks. You can actually swim with them. If they're not hungry, they really don't care much about you. They just mind their own business. But I didn't know that. And it was so interesting to learn that from her. And I can't imagine that feeling of being so free and being around species that are like so talented and so unique. And you can connect that to this powerful thing with your father. I can't imagine how cool that is. So you're blessed to have a family that you grew up with and you had all the support. And our listeners are a lot of young men that are grew up that they're struggling in life a lot and they didn't have a father figure, or like they didn't have a mentor or anything like that. So I'm so excited that you're here sharing that story, because a lot of time people go through a lot of bad childhood in order to become successful. But you had a good childhood, you had a role model such a young age, and yet you grew up to be make them proud. You
Mhm.
know, that is so cool.
Yeah, and it's that adversity, like, and the reason why I always looked at my childhood as incredible, because that adversity shaped me to be who I am, that resilience. And like we mentioned, my family gave me that love, gave me that support and that guidance. So whenever I would come up against the negatives of my environment and of the world, I had some kind of fortitude in me to fight back. And I also slipped, right? But
Yeah.
I knew I had to get back. And to the young men that's listening, that's in these circumstances, that becomes your superpower. That becomes our superpower. Those slips, those falls, those scrapes, those bruises is the superpower that's going to allow you to be so unique and so magnetized when you become an adult.
Yeah. Yeah. I grew up, actually, I was unfortunate enough to have family around me. I came to United States 32 years ago, and I
Mm,
was I was very young. I got an arranged marriage. I came here. And I had no family, no friends, couldn't speak the language, couldn't read, couldn't write. So if I'm pronouncing any word wrong, do please correct me. But yeah, I couldn't any of that. So I not only I didn't have family and friend, but I got culture shocked because I didn't even know where America was. So
mm,
I didn't know nothing about it. In my country, women really don't go to school and they don't really work, and let alone knowing about other countries. So I got introduced to a country that I didn't know nothing about, and I didn't have that. But I switched that, like, as like you said, made it a power. And I said to myself, you know what, I am going to take this opportunity and make something, especially when I became a mother. I said, it's
mm.
not about me anymore. Now I have other people that are relying on me, that I need to do this for myself. So I totally understand how that works when you change your mindset. And this is why we created the show, Inner Power Insights, because everyone have it within us to power ourselves to do whatever we want. But unfortunately, some people don't know. I saw a video of you that you did say, if you want to take advice from somebody, make sure they know what they're talking about, because you don't want to be bullshit or doing, which is so true. So true, because you
So,
have to know what they've been through, what they have done. I'm sorry, just reading a book and going studying for something doesn't make you or qualify you to be that profession. No, when life lessons are different. Now you're talking about completely. When you go there and when you feel it, when you're in it, when you get out, when you fight, when you win, it's a whole
mhm,
nother level. School cannot
mhm,
give you that,
mhm.
right? That
Amen.
is,
Amen to that. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Now I know you talk about empowerment, manhood. You speak about that. Can you
Right.
tell us about that a little bit? What does that mean to you?
Sure. That's just who I am. And as I mentioned, everything goes back home. I grew up with my father and these five kings, as I mentioned, and I developed a life philosophy from my father and my four uncles.
Okay.
And the life philosophy, I came up with something called SS3D lifestyle. I
Okay.
mean, stand strong, in the three dimensions of your being: your mind, your body, and your spirit.
Yes.
This is what makes us who we are, the three elements. And if
Right.
we stand strong in each of those areas, we do our best to improve and maximize those areas, our mind, by reading, studying, pushing ourselves to the limit mentally, educating ourselves, our body, doing something every day to make sure our temple is the best it could be, the strongest, putting healthy food in our body, moving around, and then our spirit. And that's just praying, that's meditating, that's finding something that feeds your inner being. If you improve those three things every day, do one little thing, you have no choice. Your body has no choice but to be better. You have no choice but to be better. So whatever it is you're going through, you're going to overcome that. And that was my life philosophy that I learned from, one, living, but two, being around all of these men. So as I speak to men, young men, older men in group homes or in schools and universities, on the football field, things like that, this is what I share with them. You have the power to control your lifestyle, your mindset, through controlling those three aspects and living what I call, again, a less SS3D lifestyle.
Mm, yeah. That's powerful. That's really great. And you also have a book that the mind muscle method, right? And you wrote that when you were going through a tough time.
Yeah.
What inspired you to write that? It just you were sharing your pain to success and you were going through it because people need to know, and a lot of people are stuck in life and they
Yeah.
just don't know what to do. And you that 30 days guidance to self-empowerment is
Mhm.
a quick boost
Mhm.
to okay, read this and get yourself out of this stuckness.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And that's what the catalyst was. The catalyst was my pain. I mean, I had this traumatic experience I was going through at the time, which was a divorce and having my kids move across the country away from me when I was a stay-at-home dad. I mean, that was the lowest point of my life at that point.
Okay.
And I had two choices. One, I could let that pain drag me down, drag me into a bottle, drag me into, drugs, drag me into, anger, acting out, all of that. Or I can let that pain fuel me into being the best version of myself. I chose the latter. So I poured all of my energy while I was laying there prostrate on the floor, crying my eyes out at night when I didn't hear anything, when I'm used to hearing cries, giggles, and footsteps. I said, you know what? I'm going to write about this because I'm going to have to look back at this moment and remember where I came from. And I
Right.
started remembering the lessons that my dad taught me and the things that I saw with him. And I started copying those down and using those words and those quotes to encourage me to get up and go wash my face, to get up, go take a shower, get up, go put some clothes on, and keep going every day. So I fed my spirit and I fed my mind with those quotes in that book, literally. And then I also used that to enhance my body. The first thing I did was go to the gym and I turned a passion of mine, which was training and working out, turned it into a business. And I became very, very successful in a very short period of time because I used that energy as fuel. I became a fitness competitor. I
Mm,
competed and my body was at its peak condition. So I used all of that and I made it as productive as I could because there was only one other alternative, which was going down the hole. And that wasn't going to happen. I was always going to stand strong and live my SS3D lifestyle.
right. Because besides external success, you were pretty successful. And a lot of young men these days, they run after money, they run after material, they run after even exterior body, the look, right? But you are example of that. Yes, you can have all of that, but yet at the same time, you're such a gentleman, humble, and grateful. You have this gratefulness in you that when somebody meet, because if your characters, if you see your characters, it's kind of like tough and almost intimidating. But the minute you open your mouth and you start talking, that humbleness comes in and it represents who you are without anybody even knowing you. They can figure it out that this guy is such a definition of a man, a gentleman, a person that is have, mind, body, and soul well put together. And that mentality, how do you keep yourself motivated? How keep you keep yourself reminding to do that, to create success, but yet be so grounded?
Well, Valerie, I mean, that's a great question. These are great questions. And I'll tell you, it's a moment by moment thing, sister. It's a moment by moment thing. I literally had moments last night and this morning where I had to get myself up and repeat to myself who I am and why I do what I do, because there are other extenuating circumstances that will push on you. It's not, okay, boom, I got it. And it's going to be like this forever. It's a constant thing, a constant battle. But it's those quotes from my book, it's those monikers and affirmations and words of wisdom that I speak to myself to be like, all right, no, get up. This is just a moment. Recognize that I'm having a human experience, a natural
Right.
human moment, an emotion is going to pass. Everything is going to pass. Even the moment of inspiration and motivation and excitement is
Right.
going to pass. So just be okay in the moment and just keep moving toward the goal. Even though I'll give you a perfect example, right?
Okay.
You put in to your GPS where you want to go.
Right.
Yeah. When you want to, if you want to go to Disneyland, you're going to get to Disneyland. You may get one destination time, but you might hit traffic and you may
Hmm.
have another alternate route. Now, that's going to change your feeling and emotion in the time, but you know you're ultimately going to get to that destination. So that's going to motivate you to continue to go because you know what your goal is. And so
Hmm.
that's what keeps me going. I know what the end destination is. Although I may have turns, I may have traffic, I may have obstacles, I know I'm going to get there. So I'm just going to keep going.
So, what would your advice would be for young men out there or women out there that are like, they say, I get distracted. I get distracted and I just don't see any progress. And they just keep going around and around and keep regretting and keep venting about their problem, but not doing anything about it.
You get distracted. Okay. You get distracted. Okay. Great. I get distracted. You get distracted. Your friend gets distracted. The person you admire gets distracted. It's not getting distracted. It's what you do about it, as you just mentioned. Once you set that goal, once you set that course, you move toward that thing. If a distraction comes, you acknowledge it, embrace it, move past it. Don't get stuck in it. Don't continue to go around and around. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. Correct?
Right.
So if you're doing the same thing and getting the same results, but it's not the result that you want, then you're going to have to change something. And this is the type of question that I have to answer. Great question again, Valerie, that I have to answer to a lot of the clients that I have that ask me how to goal
Right.
set. How do I move
Yeah.
from this position to that position? And it's very simple, but it's hard. The simplest
Yeah.
things are the most difficult thing to do. So, to those people that are asking that question, how do I move? How do I avoid distraction? Well, if you know your phone is a distraction, put it down. Do what you know you need
Yeah.
to do. Simple.
Yeah. I'm going to add on to that a little bit because I'm glad you mentioned saying that you have to have a goal. But I always lived as in, if you have, like you said, if you have a purpose, and if that purpose or that goal that is very meaningful to you, you can't possibly get distracted because you know nothing happened overnight. You have to take your time. You have to be patient with yourself. You have to trust yourself and take one step at a time. And when you focus on that one step, then distraction goes. Like you can't go, if it's not important to you, yeah. If you're not taking it seriously, like, yeah, okay, I want to do this, but this is more fun. And you're not realizing the consequences of that. No, 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 no. That may be fun for now, but just hold on a little bit. Let's just focus on where we wanted to go.
Hmm.
So I'm glad that you said that this you have set up a goal in order to stay focused than to lose focus and be distracted by this shiny object around you.
Hmm.
Because even when you I mean you've done so much. Like you said, you went to the gym and you became an entrepreneur. Yeah, that's great, but you had no knowledge of how to run a business. But you stay focused and learn that. So if you can have that, then have this step, I'm sure the distraction is less than if you're like, well, I want to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's like you're not taking this seriously. You just and especially young people, they keep doing the same mistake. And when I was young, my grandmother always used to say to me, if you make a mistake one time, We all make a mistake. That's good. Knowing, make sure that you don't repeat that mistake again.
Yeah, yeah,
Recognizing that.
very true, very
And
true.
you're an example of that, that you have done so much in your life, but you stayed focused. And I think that's really important for a lot of young people to understand that. Because if they see you from outside, that they get, oh, his life is perfect. I don't think you have any bad day. You don't look like you can ever have a bad day.
Yeah, yeah. So not true. And then bad day is like perspective. And to give credit to the young people, like they're honestly dealing with things that's completely different than what I've dealt with in a certain way. Right now, we have the whole social media and things that act on your self image so much that you know you start to get really convoluted with so much BS. And it's really difficult when your mind isn't mature enough to understand certain things. It's really easy to get caught up in that at
Mm,
a young age, right? They're very impressionable. So to fight your way and dig your way out of those holes is a lot more difficult than maybe it was before because you don't have so many eyes on you. But that's why it's even more important to focus and buckle down on what that goal is and not worry about the outside noise. There's always going to be noise, but what you
yeah.
decide to hear is going to determine where you go.
Being an actor is a very competitive industry. I'm sure you face a lot of challenge. What are some challenges that you face and how did you overcome them?
A challenge that I face now, particularly in the industry, is what the typical paradigm is. So, for example, if somebody is saying, well, you know what, they aren't, I'll give a specific example about types of projects they're doing. Well, right now,
Okay.
nobody wants to see original projects
Right.
because all the studios are a little bit scared to lose money because they lost so much money already. So they don't want to see original projects. They want IP or things that's already made so they know they're going to make their money back. So don't make anything original. Go find some IP. Well, the challenge is, well, what if I want to tell a specific story that's really near and dear to my heart? I have a goal and I need to tell this story. Am I going to believe what they say? Or am I going to trust my heart, my intuition, and find other people that can believe in that with me, work with me, and help me accomplish that? It's always about the mindset of what people say compared to what you believe and then how you move. I can
Mm,
use that in sports. I can use that in entertainment and in any and everything. What somebody says, the paradigm of what they think and believe, they're going to try to put on you. And again, I deal with that in industry. They're going to try to put, they don't think it could be done. But I always have to remind myself who I am, what I'm about, what I can accomplish, and continue to move forward.
wow. And you stay on top of that because, like I said, it's very competitive. And you've been in a lot of shows, and the latest show that you just came out, and I don't think people thought it would be that big. And on the
No.
first episode, you see that it got a lot of attention. Now, tell me how that experience was with you. I know you learned a lot about the oil and everything else. I can.
Yeah, so much. I mean, and I have to take my hat off to Taylor. He's so brilliant in that aspect where he made sure all of us understood what we were getting into. So he set up a camp, a 1 week camp, a man
Okay.
camp. So we had study sessions where we would learn about the oil industry and learn about fracking and just that whole world. So we understood what we were talking about on set. Then we also did some physical grunt work. We actually had to do the the work on the oil rig. I had to know how to control it. The guys had to know what machines to use. It was a very dangerous yet safe environment. So that when we shot and we rolled, everything looked authentic and was authentic. So it was eye opening. It was exhilarating. It was a little nerve wracking, but you see what the result is, and I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, because your other characters are all, you can say that you're like being football coach, right? Or
Mhm.
something like that. It's like, okay, that I can do because you're such a athletic person. But
Yeah.
this was kind of like, I don't know what the hell.
Yeah. You're
Right?
right. No, you're right. It's completely outside of my and even the accent. Like that's my first time really diving into an accent, and I had to do some work to get there and step outside of myself. You can tell I'm just a Jersey dude that's cool all day,
I
but
know.
that's not boss. So I had to do some work, which I really appreciated.
I love that part that he turned around. What's your name, boss? Such a great kid. I love his character. Again and again, I brought him. I think the director did such a great job because you don't see that a lot. Tell me if you agree with me. Cooper,
Mhm,
how the way he looks and how he acts. And you came and the advice that you give him when you met him first time.
mhm,
And I really thought you're going to be like, you shit out of luck,
mhm,
you're going to
mhm.
die here. But you were such a comforting, you said it in a way that he got it and he was kind of afraid of you, but like, oh, I'm not going to fuck with this guy. But
Right.
at this, but at the same time, he kind of felt relief that you are there, that you can see the both side,
Yeah.
and that comes from your character of how you are and a
Mhm,
person in reality, right?
yeah. Mhm.
So you get a lot of when you go to do audition, do they see that in you and give you the script by that, or they just change that a little bit?
Yeah, that's a fun question, but that's the difference in this industry compared to anything else, right? And that's why I don't really look at it much as a competition because no one can show up the way I show up to a script. We're all reading the same thing,
Right.
but we're bringing something different, different experiences. I'll tell you, when I got the role to do the audition and all of that, the breakdown was, a 50-year-old guy and a typically white guy doing something like this. But obviously, Taylor and the team saw something in the way I was bringing it and my experience and who I am and my interpretation of it. It was like, that's what we need in this character. We need this protector, this mentor, this intimidating guy with a soft heart to guide this character where he needs to go. And I'm just grateful that I am who I am, and they recognize that in me and want to make that a part of that story.
And that's why I wanted to have you in the show because I want people to see that side of you. It's really not hard to miss that. But for those who haven't seen the show or don't know you, like I said, it could get very easily misinterpreted when the way you look and the way you are, like you're
Mhm,
tough and you intimidating.
mhm,
But and like you said, that now they can bring anybody, but that's your really authentic self that they brought out in that show and actually shows that you actually have a soft heart and you are protective and you are kind and you are a gentleman and you are humble. So
mhm.
that must have been very easy for you to say, okay, I do my personality, but I look tough.
Yeah, yeah, it really was. I mean, it really is. I'm always in every character that you'll see or that you've seen. I'm bringing my authentic self to all of them. It's just different parts of my authentic self, along with some other work I may have to do. But in order for you to relate and see and connect to that character, I have to be honest. I have to be real.
I
Right?
did.
So that part of me really came out, and I'm just glad again that you are responding to it, and so many other people are responding to it.
Oh, I put that in there and I am once we released this episode because I was the first one to look at that and I said to myself, huh. But then I did a research on you, right? And I said to myself, I was freaking right. He's a motivational speaker. You would never think somebody like you would be a motivational speaker, doing science, being, entrepreneur, and all of that. It just get lost. Like I said, that pretty face and a hot body. Trust me, that hasn't
Appreciate it.
come out. That the thing. Is there any role that you had to read the script and say to yourself, "Nah, I am not doing this"?
Oh yeah, there's several, and the couple I just turned down. I'm not just going to be a thug number one, thug number two anymore. I'm not going to be a mercenary that's out there selling drugs or killing people or raping women or beating women, an unethical misogyny, none of those things. I'm way past that. I'm past that in life. I'm past that in my career, and I'm past absorbing anything like that in my world. So those are the scripts that I have to turn down and pass on. That's a story for someone else to tell.
And the reason I'm asking you this question because a lot of people have a hard time saying no.
Mhm.
especially in the industry. When they start, they take anything just to make it. So I think to have the courage to say no, it's really hard for some people because now you kind of like you want the opportunity, but at the same time, it's like, oh, I don't feel this, you know. So if somebody's like that, what would you say to them? Like, how am I going to regret this part? Or and not just in acting, but in any industry, a job comes in,
Yeah.
you wanted to get it, you want to wet your feet, but at the same time, it doesn't match you. And a lot of people have a hard time saying no.
Yeah.
What would you say to those people?
Well, honestly, there's not much I can say to them because I don't know their situation. I don't know their circumstance. To each his own. But what I would say, if anything, is if you say yes, will you be able to look at yourself in the mirror and smile? If you say no, would you be able to look at yourself in the mirror and smile? The yes to that question is going to tell you what decision to make.
That's perfect. That's perfect. That's so right. That is so right. So how do you balance your life? Being a father, doing all these stuff. And I know you're working on a new project. I'm not gonna spoil it, unless you wanted to say it. But
Yeah, yeah, thank
so how do you balance life? What is your rituals during the day? How do you wake up? How do you end up the day?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it all boils down to my lifestyle, my SS3D lifestyle. I wake up 4:30 in the morning, go train for 2 hours before my wife wakes up, before my kids wake up. My wife is a huge part of my balance. That is my rock, my foundation, the person that really helps me ground what I know is important to me, which is family at my core. She makes sure that is solid so that I can go out in the world and be everything else as well. And then, she's a beast in business and in the industry in her own right. So having that partnership is absolutely key. So again, I'm able to wake up before they wake up. I do what I need to do. I come back home again every morning and I walk through the door. My two little girls come and run to me, Daddy, Daddy's home. And then they spin around, show me what they're wearing for the day because mommy got them dressed. That fills me up. So I took care of my body. I took care of my spirit.
Hmm.
Now, once I take them off to school, my wife does her work. I do my work and I'm taking care of my mind. And then
Mm.
at 4, so that's from 9 o'clock to about, this is when I'm not on set, from
Hmm.
about 9 o'clock to 4 o'clock, I'm doing that. I'm focusing on eating, I'm focusing on doing my work, focusing on studying. And then at 4 o'clock, when I pick up my babies, from 4 to 8:30, 9 o'clock, back to family, not worrying about work, filling up my spirit again. 9 o'clock, wrap up the day, love with my wife for a little bit. We may watch something on TV, may binge or something. And then I'm writing in my journal at night, reading a little word, a little affirmation, or a little spiritual book, and then I'm off to bed. And I do the same thing the next day.
Nice. I was gonna say, are you a spiritual person? Do you do some meditation, affirmation? Do you believe in those that help you?
Oh, absolutely. That's who I am. That's the foundation of it all. I journal, I pray, I meditate. I don't ascribe to a particular religion, so I read the Bible, I
Right.
read the Quran, the Torah at times, the Bhagavad Gita, and then I
Yeah.
read a lot of other different spiritually related books, personal development books, to
Right.
just fill myself up as much as possible.
Yeah. So, what is the success for a good relationship, romantic relationship? Because you said that you do that. I know there's time you're like I'm a businessman, and you're a father, and then by the way, they're saying that behind every successful man, there's a wise woman. Okay, so that's your wife. Now, how do you keep her happy, and what is the key to that relationship?
Shoot, look, I failed
You
that
know, a
out about
lot of
2
people
years
gonna be
ago.
listening right
Listen,
now.
listen, I know I messed up like 2 days ago. You know what I mean? You got to be honest. You got to be honest. You got to be you have to remove your ego for men particularly. You got to remove your ego. You got to remove your preconceived notions and your fear of somebody. You got to be a man. You got to remove your fear of somebody not having your best interest at heart. For me, I'm a very manly man. Like I am very strong in my opinion, very stubborn and very like I'm gonna do this. But maybe my perspective isn't always the most sound. So she'll provide a perspective that's absolutely sound. There's a reason why there's a there's two, right? There's a
Right.
dichotomy, there's a spectrum because two makes one and it makes us stronger. So her perspective makes me stronger and wiser almost all the time. So understanding and embracing that has been the key to us continuing to move forward and progress every day and be better every day. And she's done work on her end to understand that as well. And we continue to do work to try to be better for ourselves, which then makes us better for one another.
I'm so glad you said that. I am so glad you said that because a lot of men don't realize that, we're different species. You're a man, you're a manly man, and you think the way you think, and you have right to do that because otherwise you wouldn't be a man. You know what I'm saying? Like there's
Mhm.
certain stuff a lot of people say about you and say, oh, this is whatever, and a lot of women too. That's why a lot of relationship doesn't work. But she understands that, and you understand she's a woman. Okay, women are different. They think differently. They like to talk. They like to express their emotion. They like to communicate. And a lot of men seems to not get that. And they're in their own way. They don't get her. I love you. I care for you. I'm a man. I provide for you. All of that stuff, but they don't get the other side of how woman works. And you
Yep,
seem to be like putting your guards down. Like, okay, let me learn about her, what she's thinking, and why she's saying what she's saying, and why I should do what I should do. Right?
exactly. Exactly.
Because a lot of people are missing that. Like
Yeah.
guys are different. So if you talk to me and if you say something, if I say something to you in 2 minutes, you probably forget, you don't care. You're gonna be like, yeah, I'm good. Girl's gonna be like, I can't believe what he said. Now I'm
Yeah.
carrying on for another 3 days. Why'd you
Yeah.
say that? For 5 days. He's like, oh, will you shut the fuck up and drop that shit?
Yeah.
But to me, that's important. You
Yeah.
know, I want
Yeah.
to talk about it more. I want to sit down
Yeah.
and talk, and you're like, really? I'm over it yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I would say communication is definitely the key when it
It
comes to a
really is.
good relationship. And you being a speaker, that comes easy to you.
Still a challenge, but it's a little easier than before. Before.
No, I'm glad because some people listen, a lot of relationship. Have you noticed that in today's society, a lot of young men they're single, and a lot of young women that are single. But
Mm.
funny, they can't find people. They say that, I can't, I'm looking for that right person, but that the right person is not there. What do you think we're missing in this today's society? I'm an old fashioned. I could tell you a
Yeah.
lot, but
Yeah. It's it's just maturity. It's really just maturity. And the reason I say that is because the people that are saying there's nobody out there, from my perspective, are those who are influenced by culture and society standards. this this thought and mindset that I'm a strong, independent woman. I can do this for a man. I don't need a man to do this. I don't need a man to do that. Or a man saying, look, I'm gonna just use women for this and women for that. That's a mindset that you have when you're about 18 to 35. But majority of the men and people. But once you start getting older and you realize what life is about, what's truly important in life, you start to appreciate what the other person brings if you're not bringing other baggage and getting in your own way. So all I think that's missing is perspective, right? Having the right people around them, right people feeding them information, watching the right things, and time. Time. Time will allow perspective to shift.
yeah, you're being very generous by talking about 35. In my country, we learn stuff at a very young age.
Uh,
Boys and girls, they just throw you.
uh,
Figure
uh,
figure it out. Figure it out on your own. You don't know how
mm,
to be a wife or a husband or a mother or a father, but figure it out.
yeah,
Crash
yeah,
course. So that's another thing that I was telling you. For me, it was a shocking culture because I see a lot of people take so much stuff for granted here in this country. And I strongly believe that because there's so much love and there's so much genuinely people are out there, but unfortunately, they have this persona because they want it to match the society and they follow their friends and they follow, like they're doing all of that, which is in the end hurting them. And like you said, time matters. Time is very essential. You can return anything, but time you cannot return, you know,
Mhm. Mhm.
make a mistake, get it over, just realize it. Come on, let's go. Because 35 is, gosh, when I was 35, I had two kids and a bunch of businesses and I felt
Mm,
like a grandma, you know,
mm,
because
mm.
I became adult in a very, very young age
Yeah,
because I had to.
yeah,
So when I see young people are suffering and they're doing this, hoping to be you, but they don't know what you had go through to become and how fast you did it on your own, but having your mentor. So I think that's one of the things that a lot of people are missing when it
yeah.
comes to that, right?
Yeah, I would encourage to that point. Never despise what's on another man's plate because you have no idea
That's
what he had to
beautiful.
do to get that.
Right. So how was the fatherhood for you? How has that changed your life?
Fatherhood, I'm addicted to fatherhood. To me, fatherhood is everything. That's the pinnacle of manhood. In
Yeah.
order for a man, my personal philosophy is in order for a man to truly understand the full extent of manhood, he must first be a father.
Wow. Why do you feel that way?
Because it challenges you and pushes you in ways that nothing or no one ever will be able to. It opens up your heart and it opens up your mind in ways that again nothing else will ever do. There's no greater love of a thing than a man for his child. There's no other challenge of self than there is for a father and his child. It's going to make you open up your heart, or it's going to make you become stronger and push you toward the level of success that you need. And I say this in general, but other men, some men don't really have that thing in them, or they have traumas that's stopping them from having that connection with their children. But in general, that's what I see, that's what I find, that's what I feel. I have four children, and had I not had these four children, I wouldn't be this great of a man. And the only reason I'm great is because my children are great. That's how I measure my success. If my daughters didn't run through the door and give me a hug every time they see me, I failed. If my son didn't look at me with so much reverence and respect and admiration, I failed as a father. I failed as a man. I failed as a human being. So that's fatherhood for me.
That's a motivation right there. That is inspiration, motivation to keep you going. That is beautiful. I hope everybody can feel that way about their children. Being a father, if any father listens to you right now, and if
Mhm.
they have any hesitation, have feeling guilty that not being a good enough father, you can always pick it up and start
Change it.
and do it and change what you are. What would you say to you, 18 years old of yourself, now knowing that how far you have become?
Good job. Keep going. Just keep going because you're doing it.
So how do you deal with regret? Do you have any regret or you look at it as in like, no, it wasn't a regret, it just
Nah, no regrets. No, no regrets. I embraced every part of my journey. I look at it as a journey. Had I not had it, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be who I am.
right, right. Because you're so strong, you keep doing that, and I think it's so important. And I so thank you so much for sharing all of these habit and ritual that you're doing, because these little things add up, and a lot of people miss that. Mindset, your body, your soul, especially your soul. And I love what you said that you pray, you journal, you express your feeling on your writing. and you actually put all of that and look back to it and say, wow, if I came out of this, I can do anything else that I want. And these are the little thing that goes over people's head, and they don't really see it. They think they have to do something major in order to change. But those little things, everything that you do every single day counts
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
add up, you
Hmm.
know? It's little thing that matters, not the biggest thing. The biggest thing comes in, you're gonna deal with it. You're gonna cross that bridge when you come to it, bad or
Hmm.
good, whatever it is. But it's the little things that a lot of people don't mention that I'm so glad that you did for where you are and what you do, that can make a difference in somebody's life.
Hmm. Hmm.
What does inner power means to you?
Inner power means that you have full awareness that you can control everything in you and around you by what's in your head and by what's in your heart. Inner power means change your circumstance if you don't like it. And if you love it, continue. That's inner power to me. It's the SS3D lifestyle, living in balance with your mind, body, and spirit.
Amen for that. Amen for that. You're
Thank you.
such an amazing person. This was amazing. Thank you so much for taking time and sharing your experience and your success and your falls and you getting back up again, because that's our purpose. We want our listeners to take one little nugget and apply that in their life so they can change something. If they're going through something right now, if they're stuck and if they're feeling, that they can't do anything, and that means a lot to me and to them. And thank you so much.
And this platform, Valerie, is so powerful, so necessary, and so right on time because of where we are in the world and society with people. We just need stuff
Yeah.
like this. So I appreciate your platform and appreciate you having me on your platform. Keep killing it. Keep doing it.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah.